The other day, a pregnant woman signed up for a weight loss camp.
I heard that if you lose weight after giving birth, your skin will sag, so I wanted to lose a bit now.
She said. She stroked her belly with a smile full of anticipation for the future on her face. 3 days later, she posted a message in our WeChat group.
Thanks to the weight loss camp, I've lost over 10 pounds already. Check out my progress.
She also attached a photo. It was a piece of flesh, vaguely human-shaped, still breathing, carved from the pregnant woman's belly. The group erupted into chaos. Someone wrote, "Posting disgusting images in the middle of the night. Do you have any sense of public decency?" Another person asked,
Is this real? What is this thing? A fetus? Photoshopped, right?
Someone else asked.
Is Teacher Zhao here? Can't you handle this?
I responded.
This doesn't seem to be photoshopped.
Looking at that photo, goosebumps all over my body. The other students were men, possibly not as sensitive. But I'm a woman, and I could tell that wasn't photoshopped. Not just the fetus, but also the surrounding maternal organs were so bloody and realistic. Teacher Zhao spoke up in the group. Everyone, stop arguing. This student might be having trouble adapting to the closed environment of the weight loss camp and having psychological issues. I'll go check on her. Teacher Zhao is our instructor in charge, a muscular guy living in room 401. The pregnant woman lives in 404, very close to him. It shouldn't be a problem for him to check on the situation with her. Yet, for some reason, I felt a bit worried. After a few minutes, Teacher Zhao posted a message in the group. I went to take a look. The student in room 404 said it was a prank and apologized to everyone. All good now, go to sleep. Others cursed a bit and prepared to sleep. I let out a sigh of relief, but still felt something wasn't quite right. Suddenly, I was added to a new group. The group owner was room 214. Doesn't anyone think something is off? This weight loss camp is newly established, located in a remote mountain area. So, for the first phase, we're testing the waters and haven't recruited many students. The large group only has 7 people in total. This new, smaller group has only 5 people. The pregnant woman and Teacher Zhao are absent from it. Someone responded. What's not right about it? Can't you let us sleep now? Another person seemed to sense something.
What do you mean?
The question was raised.
Have any of you seen Teacher Zhao in person?
I couldn't help but wonder.
Of course, we all met him during registration, didn't we?
As it turns out, our batch of students hasn't even started formal weight loss training yet. Over the past few days, we've been moving into our dorm rooms, selecting our preferred rooms to live in, and most of us barely know each other. However, Teacher Zhao was in charge of enrollment, so each of us should have met him. Someone asked. Then you should know that Teacher Zhao has a southern accent. In the South, not many people use their sound when speaking or typing, right? The group fell silent for a moment. I quickly scrolled through the chat history. Before and after Teacher Zhao went to investigate, his speech habits clearly differed in his messages. Not just their sound, everyone became big buddies. Nobody would randomly change their speech habits. Unless. After visiting room 404, the person who returned was not the original Teacher Zhao. The previously silent large group suddenly erupted into activity again. Teacher Zhao.
Why isn't anyone speaking? Are you all asleep already?
Nobody replied. Teacher Zhao sent an emoji. Not speaking? Do you think the teacher is in trouble? Don't overthink it, the teacher is right here. A photograph was sent. In a dimly lit men's restroom, Teacher Zhao was kneeling on the floor, hands cradling his head, buried in a urinal. He looked like he was drinking water. But his face was tilted up, eyes bulging out of their sockets, staring at the ceiling. His neck was twisted 180 degrees, obviously dead for some time. Honestly, I hated Teacher Zhao. When I signed up, he found an excuse to guide me in filling out the form, leaning his body against me, whispering in my ear.
You're not really fat, just curvy. If you want to shape up, you don't need to pay for this camp. I can teach you privately.
Those seductive eyes were now lifeless, floating in urine in the urinal, a starkly different story. The large group went silent. The small group exploded. One person asked,
Is that photo real? Did someone really die? Was it 404 who did it?
Another person wondered.
That pregnant woman sent a fake photo to lure teacher Zhao to her room and then killed him?
No, something's very off. The photo she sent wasn't faked at all. It was an actual fetus carved out, along with half of the mother's belly. How could the killer have cut open their own belly? Moreover, that pregnant woman signed up the same day as me. We chatted a lot. She came from a good background, her husband was considerate, and she had recently become pregnant. At the time, seeing her stroke her belly with a maternal smile, I thought only women this carefree, with no worries, would have the heart to join a weight loss camp while pregnant, just to maintain a perfect figure. So she couldn't have done it, and she had no reason to. She must have really died. There's a murderer lurking in this dorm building. The killer first murdered the pregnant woman, carved out the fetus, then killed teacher Zhao when he went to investigate. Each time they killed someone, they used the victim's phone to send the death photos to the group. I shared all these speculations in the small group. Someone asked,
Are you saying there's a killer among the 5 of us in this group?
I replied, I don't want to think that way, but it seems so. We need to report this to the police ASAP. Someone else said,
I already called them. They said it's a remote area and it's nighttime, so the road is difficult. They might take over an hour to arrive. They told us to stay in our rooms and not attract the killer's attention.
As soon as this message was sent, the group fell silent. No one spoke anymore. Because everyone realized room 303 shouldn't have sent that message. The killer now knows the police won't arrive for over an hour. During that next hour, facing this unknown killer with unclear motives. Each of us is a lamb ready to be slaughtered. The silence was brief. Suddenly, a loud, piercing sound of a door opening echoed through the entire dormitory. Immediately after, a bunch of footsteps ran down the hallway. I paused for a moment, then realized what was happening. One of the 5 of us couldn't endure this fear. He's trying to escape. Someone cried out anxiously. Who is it? Who ran out? It's very dangerous outside right now. Everyone should stay in their rooms for now. If you need to move, do it collectively. No one responded. In the heat of the moment, everyone was thinking about what to do. I was too. This dorm building is very old, with no elevators and iron bars on all the windows to maintain isolation for the training. The only exits are the front and back doors. Based on the footsteps, they seem to be heading towards the front door. Without a doubt, the killer will go after them, making their chances slim. However, this also means that if the rest of us think quickly, we can take this opportunity to sneak out through the back door while the killer is distracted. Should I take this chance to escape? I was still deliberating. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed down the hallway. Everything was silent afterward. What had happened needed no explanation. After a while, 214 spoke up in the group. Who ran out earlier? Let the rest of us check in. I said. Present. Bitterly, another person said.
No need to check in. The one who ran out was 301. I live close to his room, so I heard it clearly.
Just as they finished speaking, 301's account sent a message in the large group.
Haha, second one down, who's next?
Without a doubt, 301 was dead. His phone had been taken by the killer. But I posted in the small group.
Did you notice? The killer said 301 was the second one.
Someone replied.
Yeah, I also think that's suspicious.
Another person asked. What do you mean? I explained.
Now, 3 people have died: the pregnant woman in room 404, teacher Zhou in room 401, and 301 who failed to escape. But the killer said 301 was the second one. The killer doesn't need to lie to us. 3 people have died, but the killer has only killed 2. Why?
Someone chimed in. I have a guess. It might sound absurd, but it could explain the situation. I was waiting to see what 214 had to say. Suddenly, a message popped up.
You guys think you're role-playing or something? This weight loss camp has never accepted pregnant women. How could there be a pregnant woman who got killed? Room 404 has been empty the whole time.
He finally spoke up. It was the owner of the weight loss camp. Since the incident began, the owner had been in both groups but hadn't said a word until now. I don't know what 214's unspoken guess was. But I think this owner is suspicious. People have died here, seriously jeopardizing the owner's assets. Once the police arrive, this place could be shut down. Yet, the owner seems unconcerned. Someone asked. What do you mean? The owner replied. Just what I said. Would a weight loss camp ever accept pregnant women? How is that possible? Have any of you seen that pregnant woman? Someone murmured.
No, we haven't seen her.
The owner continued. Right, you haven't seen her, so stop pretending. 301, and even Teacher Zhao, were all part of your group, weren't they? You guys got along pretty well right after moving in. Things were getting more off-kilter by the minute. I mentioned earlier that our batch of students was small and hadn't even started formal training. We were still in the process of moving in. The students living here hadn't even met each other yet. But I had signed up with that pregnant woman. She told me she had looked around at several places, finally paying extra to get into this camp, which would accept her despite being pregnant. Why is the owner lying? Right at this moment, I was added to another new group. The group only had 3 people, me, 214, and 303. Someone said. The owner has issues. I nodded in agreement. 214 is a smart person. I said.
Actually, I met the pregnant woman from room 404. She really did move in, and the owner knew about it.
Someone else spoke. I didn't see her, but I've been thinking. I knew 301, and if he were pulling off a prank with someone else, he would have definitely included me. So, this doesn't add up. The person continued. Okay, since we agree on that, I'll continue with my earlier speculation. It actually involves the owner. You know, this weight loss camp was recently renovated. Before that, it was a disciplinary school. It specifically enrolled kids who were seen as unruly by their parents, using physical punishment and psychological abuse to break them. That's why this place is located in a remote area with iron bars on all the windows. It was converted into a weight loss camp because of an incident. Rumor has it that a few years ago, a girl was sent here because of her beauty. She was taken out to entertain at a banquet, got drunk, and was assaulted by several adult men. Afterward, the girl suffered a mental breakdown, was taken home by her family, and a few months later, it was discovered that she had become pregnant. However, she lost the baby and eventually took her own life. Despite reaching this point, the girl's family mysteriously dropped the lawsuit and settled everything as if nothing had happened. But the impact was still there, and the disciplinary school's reputation was ruined. So, later, the owner switched to running a weight loss camp. Now, during the first trial run of the weight loss camp, people have died. The pregnant woman was the start of everything, yet the owner denies her existence. Do you think it's possible that the ghost of that pregnant girl has returned for revenge? I was speechless. Is that it? I fear that 303, after reading this long message, would also respond with disdain. I said, revenge from a ghost? Is that really your theory? How outdated is that? It's too far-fetched. But I had some doubts. 214, continue. Not far-fetched. First, the girl was 5 months pregnant when she lost the baby. The fetus in the photo sent by 404 was about the same size.
Second, if it were a vengeful spirit, it makes sense that she would say she only killed 2 because we think the first one who died was 404, but what if that was actually the spirit herself? She killed Teacher Zhou in 301. In her perspective, that's only 2. Third, I heard that on the night the girl was tortured, she was dragged to the toilet by a teacher to drink urine. Now, Teacher Zhou died in a men's restroom urinal. I don't know if Teacher Zhou was the same teacher involved back then, but this series of events doesn't seem like a coincidence.
Someone was terrified.
So what do we do? If it's a ghost, can we just wait to die?
I still didn't believe it.
I don't believe in such supernatural nonsense. The killer might be connected to it, but it won't be a ghost.
Someone else said.
Regardless of whether you believe it, the situation is the same. The killer's tone and the large group seem to imply that they'll come after us one by one.
And the police won't arrive for another hour, so we must escape. I have a plan. When I give the signal, the 3 of us will rush out of our rooms. I'll head towards the back door. 303, you go to the front door. 208, you stand by your room door and don't move for 10 seconds. He was referring to me. I asked. Why? Because the killer's location is unknown, so we have to gamble.
If the killer is near the front door, 303 will be in greater danger, but if there's a fight, there will be noise.
208, if you hear sounds at the front door, run to the back door, then you and I can escape. Conversely, if the killer is near the back door, I'm the one in danger. But you can go to the front door and escape with 303. The best case scenario is if the killer is on a higher floor and can't catch any of us. Then, 208, you wait 10 seconds. If there are no unusual sounds at either door, it means we've all safely escaped, so you can choose any door to make a run for it. Suddenly, someone asked. What about the owner? Today's events likely targeted him. We're better off not getting involved with him. Plus, it's possible the owner was one of the men who tortured that girl back then. Doing it this way doesn't seem unkind to us. I thought for a moment. This indeed seemed like the best escape plan. Each of us was at risk and could encounter the killer, but this plan was likely to ensure that at least 2 people would escape. However, I hesitated because I had an unsettling feeling that something wasn't right. There was something important that I had overlooked. At that moment, the owner suddenly sent me a private message. Are you 3 forming a small group to plan an escape? How did he know this? I was filled with doubt and didn't respond, but the owner kept sending messages one after another.
I guess you're suspicious of me because I said there was no pregnant woman. But I said that to lure out the snake.
I did some things in the past that were a bit excessive. Don't worry about the details, it's all over now. But it seems that someone wants to cause trouble for me based on what happened back then. They're staging this whole scene, slaughtering everyone, and ruining everything I have. So, I denied the existence of the pregnant woman on purpose. I figured the killer would isolate me using this opportunity, encouraging others to escape and making it easier to kill them one by one.
Think about it. Has someone privately contacted you, told you about my past, and proposed an escape plan?
If you assume that person is the killer, wouldn't this escape plan put everyone in a desperate situation? I was filled with a cold sweat. Because the owner was right. He was too active and had strong opinions, which made it hard not to trust him. The reason his escape plan could work was based on one condition: the killer was not among the 3 of us. But if 214 was the killer, everything changed. He wouldn't head to the back door as planned, he would wait at the front door for 303 to fall into his trap. He would kill 303 at the front door, naturally creating a commotion, and I would run to the back door. But 214 knew the entire plan and my destination, so he would also head to the back door. Adding in the time it would take for me to come down from the 2nd floor, he would be perfectly positioned to intercept me at the back door. Now that I thought about it, this nonsense about a vengeful spirit was really far-fetched, and yet 303 actually believed it. Plus, it was 214 who initially told everyone to stay in their rooms. Probably because, if everyone panicked and ran out together, he wouldn't be able to kill them all quickly enough. So he wanted to use the plan to lure and kill us one by one. But, there was something a bit off with this reasoning. I sent a message back to the owner. Why did you privately message me and tell me all this? You seem to trust me? What if I'm the killer? The owner replied. Because back when that girl was involved, she didn't have any female relatives, but it seemed she had a boyfriend from another place. Given the current situation, you're the only woman here, so the likelihood that you're not the killer is the highest. I have to take a chance on you. I asked. What exactly did you do back then? If the killer is just seeking revenge, why not just kill you and your accomplices? Why drag us innocent ones into this? The owner was silent for a moment. His tone suddenly became stern. What I did is none of your concern. Now, let's work together if we want to survive. If you agree, tell me about the killer's plan, or we'll both just wait to die. After some thought, I had to admit that I should cooperate with the owner now. Even if he was scum. I laid out 214's plan in full. The owner quickly responded. So, 214 will kill 303 at the front door first and then head to the back door to intercept you. Right? Here's what we'll do, agree to 214's plan. When he gives the signal to start, let's meet at the staircase on the second floor, near the front door. We'll hear the sounds of 303 being killed below. Then, 214 will rush from the front door to the back door to kill you. At that moment, we can slip down and quietly escape from the front door. I was silent. This was a good plan. It almost guaranteed that both of us would escape. The cost was that 303 would certainly be killed. The owner truly lived up to his reputation for such unsavory deeds. Was I really going to help this scoundrel escape 214's revenge, letting that girl's spirit rest unavenged? But I had no choice. I typed out the word. Agree. With difficulty. In the three-person group, 214 was getting impatient. 208, what's wrong? Did something happen? Why aren't you responding? I said. Nothing's wrong. I was thinking about your plan, and it seems workable. Excitedly, he responded. Great. Let's prepare and act quickly. After a few minutes of preparation, 214 gave the signal in the group. Let's go. The loud sound of 3 doors opening echoed through the dormitory. My palms were sweating as I stepped into the hallway, creeping towards the stairs near the front door. The nighttime hallway was dark, lit only by moonlight filtering through the windows. Everyone was silent, not wanting their footsteps to draw attention. One step, another step. Turning the corner ahead would bring me to the staircase. Had someone already gone downstairs? Had 214 reached the front door? When would the owner make his move? I was drenched in sweat, my brain racing with thoughts. Suddenly, a hand reached out from the public restroom to my right, gently patting my shoulder. I spun around, seeing the person in front of me. Initially, I was startled, then softly exclaimed.
How is this possible? 301?
Wasn't he killed during that reckless escape attempt? He looked quite stout and was indeed someone who needed to lose weight. He quickly motioned for me to be quiet and led me deeper into the restroom. He peeked out into the hallway to ensure no one else was around before returning to me, speaking in a hushed tone. Don't shout. Are you trying to escape? You can't escape. Both doors are chained shut with iron chains. My mind wasn't processing fast enough. You're not dead? What about that scream? The killer used your phone to send a message in the group. Keeping his voice low.
When I ran out, I didn't encounter anyone. I got to the front door, but it was locked. Then I went to the back door, and it was locked too.
The front and back doors both had heavy chains, about the thickness of 4 fingers. There was no way to escape.
Just as I was trying to figure out what to do, I heard another scream, followed by footsteps. I was scared and didn't dare go back to my room because the killer would know I had escaped. So, in a panic, I hid in this restroom.
My expression was incredulous.
So, the scream wasn't from you? We all thought it was your cry for help. What about your phone?
Sighing.
I had it in my hand, but when I heard that scream, I got scared and dropped it on the ground. Then I rushed to hide and didn't have time to pick it up. Later, the killer must have picked it up.
I looked down, deep in thought. The situation was becoming increasingly complicated. The front and back doors were locked, so the owner's plan wouldn't work, nobody could escape. Additionally, 301 wasn't dead, so whose scream was that? And why did 301 come out to see me? Didn't he suspect me of being the killer? Unless the scream really came from 301 and it was a ploy to distract us. His phone hadn't been lost, and the killer hadn't used it to send the message. Because 301 was the killer. I swiftly lifted my head, looking at 301. He was staring directly at me. His eyes showed no emotion, just a cold, calculating gaze. Moonlight shone through the restroom window, casting a glow on a shadowy figure. Only then did I realize that this was the men's restroom. At the far end, next to the urinal, lay Teacher Zhao's corpse. His twisted head gleamed in the moonlight, his eyes, dripping with urine, seemed eerily serene. He was stout and muscular. If he were to attack, I suspected I wouldn't be able to resist. I was mentally calculating my next step. After looking at me for a few seconds, he suddenly chuckled. "You're the killer, aren't you?" "What?" I was confused. "What are you talking about?" He revealed a relaxed smile. "You all thought I panicked and ran out, didn't you?"
No, I wasn't crazy. I just decided to take a chance. If I could escape, great. If not, at least I'd hide in another room. That's better than waiting for death in my own room. I found out both doors were locked and then heard that scream. I thought the situation was chaotic and needed to hide, so I came into this restroom.
When I discovered Teacher Zhao's corpse here, I felt somewhat relieved. Because the killer would definitely think no one would dare hide in a place with a dead body, so they wouldn't come back to search.
But soon, I realized things weren't that simple.
He pulled out his phone and waved it in front of me.
I lied about the phone.
303 and I are friends. He's been sending me the chat records from your group. When I saw 214 talking about those past events, I realized this was about revenge because almost everyone here was connected to that girl from back then. If I'm right, the ones who took that girl to a banquet and then to a hotel to torment her all night were the owner and Teacher Zhao. At the time, they were the principal and disciplinary director of this disciplinary school. 303 and I also had some connection to that girl, but you don't need to know the details. Anyway, 303 and I received an invitation to join this weight loss camp trial, promising a cash reward of 100,000 yuan each, with 50,000 yuan prepaid just for signing up. We really did get 50,000 yuan up front, so we decided to join. Looking back, that must have been part of the killer's plan too, to gather everyone involved in that incident to this place and finish them off in one go. Since that's the case, the killer must not have been involved in that incident back then. The pregnant woman in room 404 is dead, and we won't worry about her for now. Only 2 suspects remain, you or 214. Those involved in the incident back then were probably all men. Perhaps 214 was involved, but I'm not sure. But you're a woman, you couldn't have been involved in that incident. Therefore, you're the only innocent one here and the only possible avenger. My face turned pale, and I shook my head repeatedly, unsure how to explain. According to him, 214's story about the past incident wasn't the whole truth. There were unknown factors involving 301 and 303. His smile grew wider as he approached me. You seem so confident you can kill me. Is it because you think you have a weapon and I don't? You're wrong. I hid this item when I checked in. He pulled out a foldable knife. I retreated, saying, I didn't participate in that incident, and I'm not any kind of avenger. I really didn't know anything. He ignored me, advancing with the knife closer. Suddenly, a horrific cry echoed from downstairs, sending chills down my spine. Was it 303's voice? His expression changed in an instant. Could it really not be you? He was a decisive person. Once he confirmed I wasn't the killer, he didn't hesitate. He turned around and rushed out of the restroom, heading downstairs. I followed close behind. On the first floor, the front hall came into view. A man in a black hoodie lay on the ground, one arm twisted at an odd angle, moaning in pain. It seemed to be 303. Another middle-aged man, obese and dressed in a suit, presumably the owner, was slumped beside him, clutching his stomach as blood flowed out, gasping for air. The only person standing was a muscular man holding a sharp knife. He glanced at me and 301, a smile spreading across his face. 208? 301? Great, you're both here now. Ah. The real killer was him. I instinctively prepared to fight. He was stout but seemed to have some combat experience, his eyes fixed intently on 214 as he spoke to me. Sorry for misunderstanding you earlier, beautiful. Now we have to kill him together, otherwise, neither of us will survive. I nodded. I don't know how to fight, but I'll see my chance and act accordingly. 2 people against 1 with knives, there's no reason we should lose. I forced a smile. He suddenly charged at 214, with me following close behind. What happened next was lightning fast. Without any haste, when 301 approached him, he smoothly used a side throw, taking 301 down to the ground. But I was still there. I clumsily lunged at 214. He didn't take me seriously. As I approached, he opened his arms, smiling broadly. I successfully plunged into his embrace, including the folded knife in my hand. That was the one 301 had handed me earlier. He had said, "Once we go down, a fierce battle is unavoidable. You don't look threatening, so the killer probably won't be cautious around you. Take the knife and seize the moment." Indeed, as 301 had predicted, I plunged the knife deeply into 214's right shoulder. He let out a scream, his smile vanishing, eyes filled with anger. He punched me hard under the jaw. The world spun around me, and I almost lost consciousness. I have no idea how much time passed before I regained my vision, finding myself lying on the ground, my limbs numb. I saw a massive figure repeatedly kicking another person lying on the ground. Revenge. Let you have your revenge. You're the boyfriend of that little slut, aren't you? I won. I couldn't help but laugh. But what 301 said next left me far from amused.
Fine, you love that little brat so much, I'll let you know how terrible her life was.
That incident was in 2 parts. The first part didn't involve me, it was the owner and teacher Zhao.
Apparently, they took the girl to a banquet, got her drunk, and then took her to a hotel to torment her all night. Not only did they do that, but they also beat her, yelled at her, and even forced her to drink urine. The girl began to regain consciousness around midnight and begged for mercy, but those 2 men were still drunk and not about to let her off. So the girl was tortured some more until she finally found a chance to escape by jumping from the hotel window. The owner and teacher Zhao panicked, still not sober, and ran away.
Then comes the second part.
That night, 303 and I had just come out of an underground bar in an alley, having drunk quite a bit ourselves, planning to get some noodles before heading home. However, in the alley, we saw a naked girl crawling towards the entrance. Her lower body seemed immobile, and she could only use her arms to slowly crawl forward.
Speaking up to this point, 301 crouched down, grasped 214's hair, and looked at his bloodied face with a repulsive smile. What happened next, you can probably imagine, since you're a man. Can't blame us, your girlfriend was really beautiful and had a great figure. Who wouldn't be tempted?
After we were done, probably an hour later, my friend and I left. Later, it was said that it wasn't until much later, when a sanitation worker was collecting trash, that he saw the girl stuffed into a dumpster.
What's wrong with that? If you use something, it's common sense to throw it away in the trash, right?
My friend and I went home, slept, and felt a bit panicked when we sobered up. But what happened then?
After the owner sobered up, he used his connections to cover up the whole thing. My friend and I essentially got away with it scot-free. No consequences at all.
Ha ha ha.
He looked smug. My eyes felt like cold ash, my teeth gritted. All right, that's enough. You can die now. I approached 301 from behind and, as I spoke, pushed the dagger into his lower back. Everyone was stunned. Their mouths were agape, momentarily forgetting the pain in their broken arms. The owner, clutching his abdomen, relaxed his grip slightly. He collapsed like a puddle of mud, staring at me in disbelief, momentarily forgetting his pain. I withdrew the dagger and plunged it into 301 again. This time, it was aimed at a place men would most dread. He let out a scream that was the most delightful sound I'd ever heard. I smiled with satisfaction. Owner, Teacher Zhao, 301, 303, you each only knew your part of the story. Now, it's my turn to tell what I know. The girl you tortured to death was my sister. When my parents divorced, the court ruled that I would live with my mother, and my sister with my father. But my father was a beast. He wouldn't let my sister attend school. His greatest wish was to have her work as soon as possible, earn money, and marry her off for a dowry to fund his drinking and gambling habits.
You guys left out a part in your account. My sister wasn't a student at the disciplinary school. She was forced by my father to become a public relations teacher thereafter he saw a recruitment ad in the paper.
At that time, my sister's boyfriend, Shinhao, also known as 214, was working in another city. I was also studying elsewhere. No one could help her, and she didn't tell us.
As for what happened next, it's the same hellish story you guys mentioned. Let me skip to the aftermath.
The sanitation worker called 911, and my sister was taken to the hospital. She had suffered nerve damage from the fall and became a vegetative state. At the time, the only one who received the hospital notification and arrived on the scene was my father. Taking advantage of no one knowing, he immediately contacted the owner and settled the issue for 100,000 yuan. After that, my father disappeared with the money, and we never saw him again. When my mother and I arrived, we found my sister's devastated state on the hospital bed. We frantically sought the truth, but all evidence had already been cleared by my father and the owner.
Later, Shinhao arrived. We both wanted to know what exactly my sister had gone through to end up that way.
After a long investigation, we still knew nothing. All we knew was that at least 4 people had contact with my sister that night: owner, Teacher Zhao, 301, and 303. We remembered these 4 people, but we didn't have time for revenge then. We needed to take care of my sister. She was once a beautiful little angel, but after months in bed, she became gaunt and aged decades overnight. Sadly, she was pregnant too. 5 months later, the baby didn't survive. The doctors did their best to save my sister, but the night the baby died, she passed away as well. I watched her leave this world with my own eyes. Seeing the moment her pupils dilated, I suddenly felt that she wasn't completely in a vegetative state. There was a certain anguish in her eyes, which gripped my soul, begging me to avenge her. So, I spent years planning all this. Just last year, the owner converted this disciplinary school into a weight loss camp, which recently began trial operations.
Then, my sister's boyfriend Shinhao and I spent a lot of money and went through many channels to invite 301 and 303 to join the weight loss camp. I also enrolled. Back when the owner covered up the incident, he had dealt with my father, so he didn't recognize me or Shinhao. We paid off a few other innocent enrollees to drop out. This weight loss camp in the remote suburban area became the perfect place for revenge. All the culprits were here, in this militarized dorm with 8 locked doors. No one could escape.
What? You ask about the pregnant woman?
Well, there was never a pregnant woman in this building tonight. I just hired a pregnant woman to stage a scene. She did exist, but I made sure she left before nightfall. I was the one who killed and used her phone to send that photo of the baby.
Of course, before killing them, I forced them to reveal what they did. That was my goal, to uncover the truth.
From Teacher Zhao, I learned about the first part of what happened to my sister. Since he made her drink urine, it was only fitting that he should drown in a urinal.
Later, everyone was supposed to follow 214's plan and stay in their rooms. But 301 suddenly escaped, which was unexpected. Considering the noise from his escape, it might incite others to flee as well. With more people, it wouldn't be just me and 214 handling it.
So I screamed in the hallway. Partly to frighten the missing 301 and partly to scare the others into staying in their rooms.
Later, I kept searching for 301. Unexpectedly, it took until the end to find him. After our confrontation, I realized his willpower was unexpectedly strong. To ensure everything went smoothly and the truth wasn't distorted, I had to let Shinhao get hurt to provoke 301 into revealing the second part of what happened to my sister that night. A person with strong determination might not tell the truth when afraid, but they certainly will when satisfied. But it doesn't matter, a small unexpected event doesn't affect the outcome. I've learned the whole truth now, and you'll soon atone for it.
Oh, you might ask, if there was no pregnant woman, where did the photo of the baby come from?
I pulled out my phone and displayed the bloody photograph. It was my sister's unborn child, who sadly never made it. This is the only proof of their existence in this world. Perhaps someone present here might even be the father. The moment I finished speaking, a commotion erupted in the hall. The owner knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowing and offering to give up everything he had in exchange for his life. He begged ceaselessly, claiming that everything was 301's idea and that he hadn't planned to do anything wrong that night. Did my sister also beg like that? I laughed and shook my head, finishing off both of them along with Shinhao. Of course, before ending their lives, I first used the dagger to destroy the instruments of their evil deeds. Finally, with 301, I must say he was a tough person. Even as he was slowly becoming unable to be considered a man, he continued struggling without begging for mercy. After the knife left him paralyzed from the waist down, he still tried to crawl towards the hallway. Where could he possibly crawl to? I shook my head. But suddenly, I seemed to see a shadow of my sister. That night, when 301 came out of the bar and saw the girl crawling on the ground, it must have been a similar sight. She had endured unbearable pain yet still clung to the hope of survival. I stepped forward, grasped his hair, and lifted his head high. Then I ended everything.
Cough, how are you? Can you still walk?
Upon hearing Shinhao's cough, I quickly turned around and supported him as he was severely injured.
I'm fine, I can still walk.
Good. Wait for a moment. I went upstairs to my room, gathered enough luggage and medical supplies, and handed them to Shinhao. I then unlocked the front door with its 4 sets of chains. Do we really have to do this? He was hesitant. I nodded. Every life taken tonight was by my hand. I will accept justice's judgment. But you can't, you have a mission. My father, who has been missing for so long, is now your task. Since I'm his daughter, I can't lay hands on him, but you can. After searching for him all these years without a trace, I hope to hear good news from you before I'm sentenced. The police are almost here. Please leave now. Shinhao nodded silently, limping away into the darkness. I sat amidst the blood-stained chaos, playing music on my phone as I waited for justice to arrive. On my phone's lock screen, the angelic image of that beautiful girl smiled brightly at me.